Are you ready to be enlightened, inspired, and empowered? Listen to Daily Spark with Dr. Angela right here on KMET. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Butts-Chester. You guys know who I am, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on a fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Alexandra Aileru. She is the founder of Confident Career Switch. She's a consultant and a speaker. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do? Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are about to get started. Hello, Alexandra. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I realize that I may be introducing you to some brand new listeners out there that are unfamiliar with you and your work. So, before we get started, let me ask you this first question. Uh, Tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
Sure. So I'm Alexandra Aileru, the founder of Confident Career Switch. I am a career rebranding and identity coach, and I work primarily with millennials and Gen Z and forward-thinking organizations to align their values, their talent, and work so that they actually have a meaningful career. And I saw a gap in the market concerning identity and how that links to us having a fulfilling career. And I just love the fact that I get to do something that's really impactful as well. So that's what I do the majority of the time. I've been blessed to work with various organizations, including LinkedIn and Udemy, and in the UK, Oxford University as well. So there is really a movement um, coined the great millennial crash, but what we're actually seeing is people align themselves to their identity and that's impacting their career, but it is a positive impact long term.
Mhm. Now, I love that you mentioned that because though while you are UK based, you work with international clients. Is that
Yes.
correct? I love that. I love that. Now, according to your website, and I love this phrase, is that you didn't set out to build a company. You set out to solve a problem you were living. I said, ooh, intriguing. Tell me more. So let me ask this question. What moment made you realize that today is the day that I need to create something that doesn't yet exist?
That's such a loaded question. I feel like there were multiple moments, to be honest with you. So the what really spurred on Confident Career Switch was my own transition. So I've had a few pivots myself in my career, but the hardest one was moving from education into project management. And it was unnecessarily difficult. And I said, once I make it on the other side, I'm going to kick the door down and allow as many people to be able to pivot from, education into project management as possible. That was my original, MO.
Mhm.
And I didn't see people online talking about this transition. So I knew that there was a gap for it. So I started to share my experience on TikTok after being in project management for a couple of years and began to build a following there. And I remember in 2023 praying to the Lord saying, God, give me a business. I don't see myself working in 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I don't know what it looks like, but please, can I have something? And then God was like, this is it. This is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be helping people move into the careers that that they're supposed to be in. And he prompted me to quit my job in 2024 towards the ending of that year. And I've been all in ever since.
Oh, I love that. And that stepping out in faith. And so many times people ask, wasn't it scary? Wasn't it frightening? And I say, well, of course, but there's always something in life that's going to be a little unsettling, but yet you know that you need to do it. And I think that that's just the heart of an entrepreneur is that you know that you don't want to do this forever, but you will definitely spend some time figuring out what the that is. And I hear that in what you're saying. Now, you mentioned that you moved from education into corporate project management, which is a major shift. Now, what was the hardest part of that transition initially? Were there some pauses or some bumps in the road that were a little bit more difficult to maneuver than others?
Yes. So again, it was around rebranding myself
Mhm,
and getting these organizations to take a chance on me. I said, I don't formally have this background, but I know that if you hire me, I will be the best thing since sliced bread in your company. I just know it. I just knew that I was going to be able to go in there and make a change. And I was trying on my own. I would get to first round interviews, but I was never successful in terms of landing a role. And what happened was, again, a faith moment. I remember speaking to one of my friends, and I felt this really strong urge to share with her my struggle in terms of transitioning. And in that moment, she prayed for me. And then she connected me with somebody who ended up being my mentor.
mhm,
And this mentor of mine gave me a date. She said, on this date, you're going to sign your contract or you're going to get your contract. And I kid you not, the day before I got my contract, my first ever project management contract. So,
mhm.
I call her a prophetess, but um,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
believed what she said, and it came to pass.
It is so important. I feel that we have those self-imposed deadline or expectation dates. It really, if you're a certain personality, right, it gives you that extra push that you need because it's going to motivate you to make it happen. Like today is the day that I need to check off one, two, and three. If I don't, I'm not going to be able to make this deadline. And the deadline doesn't matter to anyone else. Like no one is making you do this by that particular date. But just because you have a particular personality type, you want to be able to achieve that something by the date that you've given yourself. And I find that more and more mentors that are really good at being mentors know the type of people that they can push that to, right? And they end up, like you said, the day before, and it's like, told ya, I knew you would do it because you're just so driven to make it happen. I love that. Now, one of the things that I find is that, unfortunately, and you talk about this as well, is that career changers are sometimes overlooked, not because they lack any type of ability or particular skill set, but because their experience isn't always recognized for one reason or another. How did you learn to translate your value, what you are offering, without losing who you are in the process?
That is such a great question. So the first thing I had to do was review my values. What
Mhm,
do I who am I? First and foremost, I
mhm,
think that that's one of the main things, and what I teach my clients as well, because there is what the world tells you that you are. And
yeah.
then there is who you are. And we have gifts and we have skills and we have talent that just comes to us naturally. And so reviewing my values. So for me, I love autonomy. And so I know I need to work in a space where I'm going to be given the freedom to really
Mhm,
grow and expand and deliver on these outcomes. I also love flexibility as well. And I love to do things that are impactful. So reviewing all of these things were what really helped me to focus on, okay, well, up until this point, what have I done? Where have I been impactful? What are the achievements that I have had up until this point? So asking questions like, when was the last time that somebody said well done to you? What was it for?
mm,
Clearly, that's an achievement. Where
mhm,
have I saved money within an organization? That's a big one. Where have I saved resources in an organization? Where have I saved time in an organization? Where have I influenced people that are, that they don't directly report to me, but I've managed to convince them to do something. That's a massive skill called influencing without power. So these are all contributing factors that people do day in, day out, but because they're not aware of where they fit in the organization, they underplay their success. But when you break it down like that and you start asking yourself these kinds of questions, you begin to paint a new narrative and say, hey, actually, I'm not only am I impactful, but I think I've been underselling myself probably in my current role as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I love that you are bringing that to light because many times, be it that I'm in a coaching session or a counseling session, and you are asking someone to self assess, right? To go and ask themselves those questions when the light bulb goes off over their head and they realize, oh, wow, oh, yeah, I did do that. You can see that they are starting to realize, oh, wow, I really have been able to do so much more than I realized. Let me turn my light back up. Let me not dim it down the way that I have in the past, but let me turn it up because someone is so grateful that you have crossed their path. And I think that many times we forget how how really good we can be at what we do um, because we don't have people constantly saying "well done." So that is a great point that you have made there, and that can really change how you feel about yourself. Now, speaking of that, for many Black women, and I find this to be no matter where we are in the world, leadership often requires navigating unspoken expectations. What has helped you lead through uncertainty or through a bit of fog, if you will, that society places along our path while still staying grounded and authentic to who you are?
One of the biggest shifts for me, and when I really started to show up boldly, authentically, unapologetically, was remembering the identity that is the most important, and first and foremost, that I am God's daughter. Now, for me, I am truly a daddy's girl. Okay. So you can't tell me anything.
Same.
Like you go to your dad and you say, Dad, like you're just expecting that he's going to give you things. And not only that, but because I know who I am and I know
Mhm.
who he is to me, I show up in places and spaces boldly. Like I know that I've already gone into the room and there's already victory in there. And I know that,
Mhm.
you know, before it's like somebody's already gone before and cleared the way and made sure everything is perfect. And that's how I step into places. And honestly, that's been the biggest game changer for me. I no longer see myself as a Black woman as being oppressed or something that's undervalued. I see it as my
Mhm.
strength because God designed me this way and it was for a purpose, and he's telling me that he loves me, and I know that there are all these amazing things about me. So when I show up in a place, I'm expecting that people will see that, and if they don't see that, that doesn't sound like a me problem. That's on you.
Agreed. Agreed. I love that. And, when we have these conversations in the gatherings of women that we have, variously, I'm sorry, throughout the year, there are various ways that women share that they've had to have the audacity, right? That they have had to walk in with such confidence because they realize that God has placed them there, that this wasn't something that was just a them. Like they're great at what they do, but they realized that this was a God moment, that this was a door opening that really and truly had such divine timing that there was no way that they could not show up with that full confidence. And I'd love to hear you say that. Well, Alexandra, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do, can you remind everyone, please, if they want to reach out to you, what is your website? And if they want to follow you on socials, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. So you can contact our website at www.confidentcareerswitch.com. And I'm Alexandra Aileru pretty much everywhere. So I think that's the easiest
Mhm.
way. So Instagram, TikTok, Substack, you name it, I'm there.
I love it. I love it. Alrighty, everyone, you know where you can visit. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. My guest today is Alexandra Aileru, and we are talking to her about the awesome and amazing work she does as founder of Confident Career Switch. Let's jump back into the conversation. Alexandra, Confident Career Switch helps people reinvent their career without having to start over. I'm pretty sure that the big fear that people have, they have all of these skills, all of this wisdom and knowledge, but they're not sure what to do with it. Should they mention it or not mention it? What does reinvention look like when it's rooted in confidence rather than fear? I know that's what you help your client base learn to do.
Yes. So when it's rooted in confidence as opposed to fear, it's so powerful because you remember. And one of my clients said to me yesterday something really powerful. So she's transitioning into business analysis. And she said to me that working with me has been amazing because of two things. Number one, she realized that slow motion is better than no motion, which
Mhm.
is really impactful. And I think a lot of people are expecting to be the finished product overnight, and that's not how things work, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you have to take the steps, and those steps are courage building steps. And if you build up enough courage, that's where your confidence comes from. I think a lot of people think that confidence comes overnight. It doesn't. Confidence comes through repeatedly showing up, doing these things and actions that are going to move you forward towards your goal, right? And
Mhm.
the other part of what she said was, I taught her to eliminate fear. And again, that fear gets eliminated when you build up enough evidence of all the courageous acts you've taken, right?
Mhm.
And building up this evidence bank, or what I like to call a brag book, of all the things that you've done, all the deposits that you've made in all these other organizations, and now the steps that you're going to take to get through this transition. You're showing to yourself day in, day out, hey, I'm capable of this. I'm going to see myself through. Even if there are difficult moments, that's part of the story, it's part of the journey. So, those are, in the words of my client yesterday, which I'm really grateful that she shared that with me yesterday, that's what I would be saying to people.
Mhm.
Confidence is not built overnight. Confidence cannot be bought either. Confidence comes from
Mhm.
truly
Mhm.
taking courageous steps. And if you're not willing to take those steps, then of course you're not going to feel confident.
Mhm. Agreed. And I think that unfortunately, so many people have a misunderstanding of what years in the game really means, what it really gives to you. Like they underestimate the power of that long game. There are people who have been doing this for years. And yes, you absolutely do want to pick their brain, gather the nuggets of wisdom that they are willing to share, because there are some things that you simply aren't going to learn from a textbook, that it is from experience. It is just sitting at the feet of the elders, as they say, and just really taking it all in. So I love that. Slow motion is better than no motion, I believe you said. Ah,
Yes.
nailed it. Thank you for sharing that. Not only does that need to be a t-shirt, but I think that is that is definitely a mantra that I think that someone can really, put before them and go, thank you. That's the nugget. That's the aha that I've been looking for. Love it. Love it. Now, you emphasize advocacy and ownership in career growth. Why is it important that people stop waiting for someone else to give them the permission to step into their next chapter?
That is such a great question. Again, some of these questions, they're tough, they're very loaded. Um, the reason why you have to reframe how you see your career is because all of us were designed to deliver on something. We've all been given gifts. We've all have this natural skill set and talents that we have, right? And we are ultimately all designed to serve in whatever capacity. So as a child, most people kind of figure out quite quickly, oh, I do this well.
Mhm.
And then as you navigate through life, the world tells you, no, actually, you should change, you should do this, you should do that. And we're going to be held accountable for that if we don't fulfill all the things that we're supposed to, right? We were never designed to come into this life and be mediocre and just be comfortable. We were designed to be impactful. And that's part of the reason why so many people feel empty because they're doing something maybe just for the money or for approval of
Mhm.
others. No, you were designed to impact as many people as possible. And that's when you feel fulfilled. That's when you wake up every single day like, wow, I'm really making a change. And so
Mhm.
that's what I would be telling people to focus on. Your career is an extension of you. It's not who you are. You are who you are, not what you do. Your
Mhm.
career is a part of you, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's probably where most people struggle with their identity. Hence why when layoffs happen, people go haywire and they start to circle and it's like, no, the job was never you. You made the job. You
Mhm.
made the role.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. Now, speaking of people doing great things in their authentic voice, you create pathways not just for yourself, but for others. What has surprised you? I don't want to say the most, but what has surprised you the most about the ripple effect that helping people has brought to the community at large?
When I first started posting on TikTok, I didn't think that I would be here with my own organization, working with global brands. And the messages that I receive, especially from Black women saying, wow, seeing you, hearing you
Mhm.
made me believe that I could do it too. That's what I live for. I can't put a price tag on that.
Mhm.
And I didn't think that that was what I would receive, honestly. And over the summer I had my sisters, so one is 16 and one is 18. They both interned for me, and the youngest said to me, her name is Adlina, she said, seeing you go for, step out in faith and go for what it is that you truly want has made me say I can't settle in life, in my
Mhm.
career.
Mhm.
And I realize how generationally this is making a huge impact, and I don't take it for granted. I understand the weight of what I carry. And
Mhm.
that's also something else as well in terms of our career. Our career was never meant to be something that we underplay. There's a weight in what it is that we do, a weight in how we carry ourselves and how we live our lives. So I'm always thinking that how does this impact the next generation?
Mhm. Mhm. Very, absolutely, absolutely. Starting from scratch can be a little frightening. What encouragement could you offer them today? Now, I'm going to pause for a moment and give my disclaimer. Now, my audience knows if I were talking to you about your book, I would say if you want to know how the story ends, you've got to buy the book. I'm going to give this disclaimer. If you want to know how your story can end, you need to purchase the services. She is not going to give the full and complete answer here. So let me ask again. Anyone who's listening out there, they're called to pivot and they're a little bit afraid. What can they do in this moment?
I want to address something that you said about starting from scratch. And the truth is, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. I
Mm,
had a lady who worked for Apple,
Mhm.
and she was making a career pivot, and she saw all of her experiences because she wanted to move into marketing. She saw all of her experiences up until this point as a deterrent because she didn't have the direct
Hmm.
experience. And I said, "You worked for Apple. Do you understand
Right.
that there are so many organizations who they have, they want to be Apple. The sheer fact that you work there makes you have leverage, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
every single person under the sound of my voice who wants to pivot, you are not starting from scratch. Every single experience that you've had up until this point has been pivotal, right? You've been impactful, you've made change, you've contributed. These are all things that you can take to another organization and again replicate that success here. But the way in which you do it is understanding how you did that. So on a resume, for example, and I always ask this question, this is great for resumes or it's great for interviews as well, is ask yourself, what did I do? What was the impact of what I did, including a metric, because organizations want you to be able to quantify things. And lastly, how did I do it? And the how is the most important because how shows that I can replicate my success. So every single person who is saying, I want to start, I would be telling you, ask yourself those three things. Go through your career history up until this point, start with your most recent role that you're in. What did I do? How how was this impactful? And how did I go about doing it?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I love it. Alexandra, you have definitely shared some wisdom with my audience today. I thank you so much for spending some time with me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, before I let you go, just in case they missed it the first time, if someone wants to visit with you online or on social media, what is the best way to do that?
Sure. So you can visit www.confidentcareerswitch.com. And I am Alexandra Aileru, so Alpha India Lima Echo Romeo Uniform, everywhere. Substack, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. So you can
Mhm.
follow me there.
I love it. Thank you again for being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us. And I thank you for doing so. I hope that we have once again enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.